ठीक है, तो लेट्स स्टार्ट टुडेज लेक्चर। और आज आखिरी टॉपिक वी आर गोइंग टू कवर इज द स्टेट मैनेजमेंट एंड द कस्टम बुक्स। देखते हैं कितना कवर हो पाता है, बट इट्स एन वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड अ वेरी important topic for the purpose of the interviews, or like this topic you are going to see कि whenever you are building big applications with a lot of components, you are going to use this concept and you will face problems. ठीक है, so yesterday what we did is the performance optimization. How can we do the performance optimization in React? So we know कि भाई React itself was made to do some performance optimization, but React itself need some performance optimization. Why? Because we know the component tree render, so we have to avoid some unnecessary components tree render. So we use some hooks known as the use callback, use memo. ठीक है, तो that will stops our um, unnecessary re-renders. ठीक है, today we are going to start is the state management in React, another very important topic and a medium to advanced level topic. So maybe just try to understand what I'm trying to say. Maybe you will not understand this like in one go, or in the first time. So keep like, ask questions if you don't understand all those things. ठीक है, so state management in React. ठीक है, the simplest way to manage state, let me first, okay मैं बाद में कर लेता हूँ ये. ठीक है, so the simplest way to manage state in React is by using the use state hook. We all know what is use state hook. That is used to create the state, and we have some function that it provides कि भाई set, by using the set we can manipulate the particular state in a component. This hook is used within the functional components to create state variables and function to update them, as I've told you. ठीक है, so we can manage the state. See, what is state management? कि भाई whatever we are doing with the state, whether we are updating it, whether we are changing it, ठीक है, same as updating, whether we are passing it to something the child components, ठीक है, whether we are whether we are deleting it or like removing it, all this all these things comes under the state management. ठीक है भाई, we are managing our state in the component. ठीक है, as simple as that. So the state management in React can happen in in two ways, like in two phenomena: local state management and the global state management. ठीक है, local, let's understand what is local state management. Local state management refers to the managing the state within a single component. ठीक है, this state is only relevant to the component itself and its direct children. As simple as that. ठीक है, very simple definition, straightforward, no like no jargon concepts. The counter application we build using use set hook simple is a simple the state management by like a local state management. ठीक है, so what I'm trying to say is that local, ठीक है कि भाई this is your component, you have created a state, you are managing it in the, like you are updating it with the set state something. ठीक है, or or you are passing it as a props to the children, to the children as a props. This is known as the, by you are managing your state, you are locally managing your state. ठीक है, this is a very straightforward concept. I think you should not have doubt in this कि भाई we are managing the state in a local, in like within a single component, or whether we are passing it in a, like the children of that particular single component, that is we are managing the state. ठीक है, as simple as that. The counter application we build using the use state hook is the simple application, it's a simple state. We, ठीक है, this is the simple application that we build using the use state hook. We first create the state with the help of use state hook, and then with the set count we are just updating it. ठीक है, we can pass this particular state as an prop to the child also. This will be a local state management. ठीक है, as simple as that. ठीक है, let's see the what is global state management and why it is very very important. Like what is this and how it is solving the problem of local state management. ठीक है, global state management refers to the managing a state that needs to be accessed and updated by multiple components across different parts of application without passing through props. The most important term is the without passing through props. What I'm trying to say is that कि भाई this is what we say local state management. ठीक है, parent component है and we are passing the state to the props child component in this particular child component. ठीक है, so this is like a local state management while handling state globally. ठीक है, let's understand what is global state here. Global state management. ठीक है, okay. Now the problem, let's understand the problem first, and in the local storage, like in the local management, and then we will solve this with the help of the global. Okay, this is the parent component. In this component we have created a state. Okay, and this parent component contains two child components. Okay, this is what we see in the diagram. Okay, as simple as that. Let's create two more child components here and here. ठीक है, we now I want to use this state. Imagine this is a particular state that is giving me the users data कि भाई this is giving me the users data. ठीक है, like we have done this कि भाई we were calling some API and then we were creating a state, and that data we were storing in a state, and then whatever the users we were showing it. ठीक है, imagine this that this particular state we have to this particular user's data we have to use in this particular child component, how can we do that? The first thing we can do is the first option is we can do the by passing props. by passing props, very simple concept. ठीक है कि भाई क्या you pass state from this child, then this child will have this state. ठीक है, and then this child will pass this state to this child. ठीक है भाई, कि अक्षर ये तो समझ आ गया, दिस इज द वन सॉल्यूशन वी कैन डू. बट when we talk about कि भाई right now we have just how many components we have right now, like one two three four child components and one parent component. ठीक है, and what is the level here, what is the like height of the tree is this one two three. Three is the height of the tree. ठीक है, and these are the like leaf nodes or what, like if you have done the binary trees, then you know all these like what is the level of the height of the tree. ठीक है, what if right now my height is the what, height means कि भाई height is 3. ठीक है, like the first, like it will go from here 1 2, like the first like the one, well, it's like a 3, like it will have to like I think it is 2. Okay, because it will have to go from 1 to this and then to this, so like a 2 height 2. Okay, this is a very small height, and we can solve this problem by using the props. What if now I building an application that has so many children components. Okay, uh, like a this is like one example I'm telling you. Okay, one example I'm telling you, like so many children concepts, like components. Okay, this can be in the hundreds also, this can be in the thousands also. Okay, thousands also. Are we actually going to use the props again for that? कि भाई I have created a state in the parent component where I am fetching the user's data, and now in the maybe in the middle component or like in the last component of that particular tree, I want to use this particular state. Are we really actually going to do that? कि भाई first pass this state to this particular component, then this component will pass this state to this particular component, and then this will pass to this particular component. Are we actually going to do that with the props? This is we can do, of course. This is like valid, but we should we do that? No, we should not do that. Why? Because bhai, this is not a very good practice. कि भाई यार, you are passing a state very from the very upwards. ठीक है, from the very upwards कि you are passing a state from the very upwards, and then you are going down to down. This is not we should do. ठीक है? This is the problem with the local state management. कि भाई we all know कि भाई local state management, we have to either manage the state in the parent component only, or either we can pass the state as a props to the child component. This is the problem with the local storage. If our application increases, ठीक है, if our application increases, problem occurs when application like increases, or you can just in terms of tech you can say कि भाई when it becomes when the scalability increases. This will lead to the down performance. Down performance. Right? If we are using a prop now, then and if we are passing this prop to like the two from one component to another components, this will lead into a problem. Like the performance optimization. Of course, it is like every component. Yeah, and we all know that ki bhai, if we are passing a prop, then this child will component will re-render. Yeah, this is we have discussed in the last lecture ki bhai, whatever the performance optimization we were doing, what happens. So there I told you ki bhai, whenever you are using a state in the parent component, and whenever you are passing this state to the particular child component, now if this state in the parent component updated, ठीक है, this child component will also re-render. ठीक है? जरूरी नहीं है कि जो जो हम स्टेट जहां पे यूज कर रहे हैं वो तो चेंज हो रही है, बट जरूरी नहीं है कि उसका चेंज होना चाइल्ड कंपोनेंट में नेसेसरी है, बट दिस विल ऑल्सो रीरेंडर. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम. नाउ भाई, अगर अगर हम प्रॉप्स का यूज करेंगे, देन जस्ट इमेजिन कि देयर विल बी हंड्रेड्स ऑफ कंपोनेंट्स like in the leaf, like children to children, and they all will be rendered. Like it will take a lot of time, and like, of course it will leads into the down performance. What is the problem to the solution is, uh, problem समझ में आ गई ना? Just tell me yes, what is the problem we are facing? Just tell me a yes, so we can go on to the solutions. Okay, so let's go to the solution here. Solution. So we have some hooks. The first is the we have some hooks by default created by React only, and we have some external libraries also. External libraries that we install in our laptops. Okay, and that will solve this particular problem we have faced. Okay, let's go back to our PPT. This is what we used to do in local state management. Why? So this is we are doing locally, and when let's understand कि भाई globally means क्या है. While handling state globally, we have many options to do that. Can use context API, a hook. I have already told you कि भाई whether we can use a hook. Use libraries like Redux, Recoil, Justin. These are the external JavaScript libraries. Like the React is a JavaScript library, and these are the libraries. Like these are the small libraries that we import in our projects, and then we can use this particular libraries to solve this particular problem. Okay, let's understand use context, and then we will understand Redux. But we are going to see practical the use context, because Redux is a like a big another topic to understand. So we will do that, don't worry. We will do that, but maybe later we will do that in the last week where we will discuss the more advanced concepts of the React. We will do that Redux there. But today we are going to use the use context, but I will make you understand both the things कि भाई we can do this with the hook also, and we can use libraries like Redux. ठीक है? So I have used Redux, I have used Recoil, I have never used just stand. ठीक है? So but these are the libraries that are used to do all those things. ठीक है? Let's understand कि भैया use context क्या करता है. ठीक है? Okay. use con use context. Please keep remember कि भाई every hook starts with use only. ठीक है? So how will you keep remember the names, or how will you identify कि whether this is a hook or not? कि भाई every hook in React starts with the use. So use context is one hook, and it is also known as the context API. Context API. Like React give its particular hook's name as the use context API. कि भाई you can use this particular or API. This is not exactly a API, but it's a hook. But the React gave its name as the context API. ठीक है? Okay, let's understand what is this. We need to share state across multiple components. We understood this. Context API is useful. It allows you to create a global state that can be accessed by any component in the tree without prop dealing. Prop dealing basically means कि भाई when we are passing the props from one component to another component, like child to child, child to child, child to child. This is known as the prop drilling. So we have to avoid that. Okay. So we are going to use something known as the use context that will share a state across multiple components. How? By we are creating a global state. Okay. Let's imagine this. Like let's understand this more. Like in a let's understand this. कि how it works. ठीक है. क्या कह रहा है कि भाई I have my particular tree parent and I have two child. ठीक है. Right now I'm taking a very small example. ठीक है. Just imagine this tree a very big tree. ठीक है. We are solving that problem for that. Use context क्या करेगा? Use context provides us some functions and the functionalities that we can use to create a global state. How we can create a global state? It gives us something known as the uh, create context, create context function. ठीक है. Using this function we are going to create a context. We are going to create a context. Just imagine this context to be a like a simple like a simple thing. This will hold the global state. ठीक है. Let's imagine this as a simple file or a simple box that uh, कि भाई just imagine this as a simple box. ठीक है. that that we are creating with the help of create context function. ठीक है. In this particular context, what we will do, we will create a global state. कि भाई whatever the state we are creating in the parent component, instead of this, we will create the state in the context in this particular box. ठीक है. In this particular box. ठीक है. So now imagine I have created a state in this particular context box. ठीक है. First we will create a context, then we will add a state to this particular context box. ठीक है. And we will add a function also to manipulate this state, to manipulate this particular state. So what function we used to do? We use something known as a set state of the use state. ठीक है. So see, we are going to create a state with the help of the user state only, but we are storing this in a context like a box. ठीक है. Like a box. This state now is known as the global state. Is now known as the global state. Plus, we will also create a provider. We will also create something known as the provider. Something known as the provider. Provider. What it will do? It will wrap this context. Wrap this context. Wrap this context to your whole tree. To your whole tree. So it looks something like this. कि भाई wrapping means कि भैया the context you have created, and in this context you have the global state, and in this context you have the function to update the state. We are just making it available to the all the states. How? By wrapping it to the all the by wrapping it around the tree. By wrapping it around the tree. Just like we have a box, we wrap it with the wrapping paper, right? Whenever we go to the birthday or the any anniversary, what we do? We wrap that particular box with a wrapping paper. In the same way, we are wrapping our tree with this use context, whatever the context we have created. Okay. Now, what your tree will look like? This is your parent component, and this is your two child components. Okay. And then this particular parent component is being wrapped in the context that you have created. Now we have solved the problem. How we have solved the problem? कि भाई now whatever the state this consists is now available to the parent component also, to this child component also, and to this child components also. This is how this is how we have solved the particular problem of the local state management. This is known as the global state management. Why? Global because we're creating a global state with the help of use context. yeah, like use context to, and then we are wrapping this context to the DOM tree. Sorry, the like the tree we have tree we will create. Okay, and then we can access that with the कि भाई the parent will ask me give me the state, so I will give this I will come to this context. Like it is being wrapped with the context only. So, okay, so like it will not go. Whatever the things we will do is that कि भाई the parent will ask कि भाई give me the state. Context will say कि भाई ले लो आप ले लो मुझसे. Child will say कहेगा कि भाई give me the state. Context कहेगा ले लो मुझसे. This child can also. So now it doesn't matter how many child we can have. It doesn't matter how many childs we can have. Either we can have thousand children, or either we can hundreds of children, or lakhs of children. Now even if this particular child, even the last child of the tree, needs the context, what he can do is he can just ask the context if I give me the state, and then this particular give the state to this particular children. Okay, now we have solved the problem here of the prop dealing कि भाई अब now we are not passing the prop कि भाई this is the parent and this is passing the prop, and then this will pass the prop to this children, this will pass the prop to this children. So we have solved this problem here. Okay, this is how use context work. Understood it? Just tell me a yes. Okay, you understand the theory. Now we are going to look the what is like how we do in the coding term, like how we will see in the coding term. Okay, this is the problem. Okay, let's create a context. This will hold the global state. Create a provider component. This will wrap your app and provide the state to all components. As simple as that. Use the context in child components. Access and update the state from any component. From any component. This is the diagram I have shown you. Just I have created. कि भाई now your whole tree is now being wrapped in the context with a context. Now even this component can use this context. Even this component can use this context. Every component can use this context. ठीक है? Now we are going to see कि भाई how we can create this. ठीक है? As simple as that. Okay, so let me create a new folder here. State. Let me write a global state. ठीक है? And open in the integrated terminal. I will just doing it very from the beginning. npm create read at the latest at the latest. Why it is taking time? Oh, नेट चला गया क्या? अरे यार. मेरा बीच में नेट चला गया. हेलो, हाँ, आ रही है आवाज़? हेलो, आ रही है आवाज़? हाँ यार, बट ओके, तुमसे ही पता नहीं नेट कनेक्शन डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था। ठीक है, बाद में चला। ठीक है, सो क्या कर रहे थे हम बस uh, मैंने इंस्टॉल कर लिया है ये, ठीक है, बाय यूजिंग द npm। आई विल जस्ट npm रन पे। ठीक है, लेट मी क्लीन दिस फर्स्ट। RAFCE। Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm in the wrong folder actually. I've created this folder, global state, RAFCE, index.css, remove this, app.css, remove this. Now if you go back, app will come. Okay. Okay. So what I will do, I will create the I will create the components. Okay. So I will create a folder, components. And I will create a parent component, parent.jsx, and I will create two child child1.jsx and child2.jsx। ठीक है, RFCE, RAFCE, okay, and in the parent also, and just we will call this parent in our app। Okay, so now we are seeing the parent component. Now in the parent component, we will import the child1 and import child2, sorry, child2। ठीक है, या लेट्स क्रिएट अ कॉन्टेक्स्ट। तो हमें क्या करना है, हमें पहले एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट बनाना है। दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव सीन की है कि भाई हमें पहले एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट बनाना है जिसमें हम अपनी स्टेट को प्रोवाइड करेंगे। फिर हमें एक प्रोवाइडर बनाना है, जिसमें बताएंगे कि भैया ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट आपको प्रोवाइड करना है सारे ऐप्स के अंदर। ठीक है, सो व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल क्रिएट अ न्यू फोल्डर एज ए कॉन्टेक्स्ट। दिस इज हाउ यू शुड डू whenever you are using the context API। So in this context, what I will do is I will create a counter context। ठीक है, counter counter context और JSX। ठीक है, what I will do is now we will just first create this context। This is how we are going to create the context। So import React, this is the first step, and now I have to, first thing what we have to do is we have to create a context। How we will do that? This particular use context give us something known as the create context। So import this create context, and how will you do that? Constant counter context is the create context। This is a counter context that is being created। ठीक है, that is the create a context। So we have created a context with the help of the create context। ठीक है, now we will create a provider। This is how we are going to create a provider। Let's see how we're going to do that। So I will use const counter provider। This is I like how I remember कि भाई you can create two things, you have to create two things, context and provider, then provider will help your context to being accessed by any element. Okay, so child, children, I will tell you what is this children, but just to, for now, just what I am doing is just understand this. Okay, and here I will return a function कि भाई count counter context dot provider. This is how we writing. ठीक है, and the here children. ठीक है, let's understand this कि भाई अभी हुआ क्या. This is how we always create a provider. हमने क्या करा है, हमने प्रोवाइडर बनाया है एक विद द नेम ऑफ द काउंटर प्रोवाइडर. ठीक है, एंड नाउ वी आर सेइंग कि भैया काउंटर डॉट कॉन्टेक्स्ट, लेट मी रीनेम दिस टू कैपिटल. ठीक है, कि भाई हमने काउंटर प्रोवाइडर बना रहे हैं एंड ठीक है, वी आर गोइंग टू रैप दिस काउंटर प्रोवाइडर, वी आर गोइंग टू रैप दिस काउंटर प्रोवाइडर, like we will export it from this file, and we are going to wrap this counter provider to all the childrens. ठीक है, to all that, like the tree, whatever the tree will be. ठीक है, then there what will happen is that कि भाई रिफ्रेश, मैं ऐसे समझा देता हूँ मैं कि भाई देखो जहाँ पे हम ऐसे हमने कॉन्टेक्स्ट बनाया है, एंड नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड दैट, वी आर नाउ गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड दैट कॉन्टेक्स्ट टू all the this is how we are going to wrap it around the components. ठीक है, now for this context all these component are behaving as a children, all these component are behaving as a children. why children? भाई ऑफ कोर्स ही बात है कि अगर यार आप एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट, आप एक पूरा एक रैप कर रहे हो पूरे एक ट्री को अपने जिसके अंदर बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स हैं, देन दे विल वर्क एज एन चिल्ड्रन फॉर दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट. दिस इज वी आर एक्चुअली डूइंग हियर, व्हाट वी आर डूइंग हियर कि भाई हमने कॉन्टेक्स्ट बनाया है, and now we have created a provider, and we have now providing this context to all the children that we will wrap around the whatever the children that we will wrap around this context provider. ठीक है, this is how we always create. now भैया आपने तो कोई बनाई ही नहीं स्टेट, let's create a state कि भाई what particular state do we need to provide to all the childrens. ठीक है, so we are going to constant counter, let's say as count, and this is same. Why? Because we always create state with the help of the use state. We all know that this is how we are going to create the state, है ना. But now how we are going to provide this state to all the children. ठीक है, we write here something as the value, and in this bracket we provide count and the set count. ठीक है, this is how you can see here कि भाई in the value we have provided the count and the set count. What this means is now कि भैया कि we have created this particular state, but now we are providing this state to every children that is being wrapped with this context provider. ठीक है, this is how you are doing that, this is how you are providing this thing, ठीक है, as simple as that. What we have to do now is to export default, and what we have to export is the two things. The counter provider we have created, we have to export this thing, counter provider, and the counter context. ठीक है, counter context. ठीक है, as simple as that. export. ठीक है, तो हमने काउंटर प्रोवाइडर एक्सपोर्ट करा है और हमने काउंटर कॉन्टेक्स्ट को एक्सपोर्ट करा है. ठीक है, सो now let's wrap this provider to every children, to every, like the whole your dorm tree. ठीक है, like the whole your tree. How we are going to do that? Let's come into the app.js and import this provider. Import context context provider. अब आ क्यों नहीं रहा है? Why it is not giving me suggestions? Counter context में counter provider we have export counter provider. This is how we will doing counter provider import. Now it is giving. Okay, so now it is giving. Now what I will do now, I will just wrap my counter provider to this parent, like to this particular parent. What this mean is कि भैया now we have just wrap the parent, and we all know कि भाई parent के अंदर we have two children, children one and child two. So this means कि भाई by default this means कि भाई if we have just like your most upper component like the parent component, you should always wrap that component, which by default whatever the children it will have, it automatically gets wrapped with this context provider, with this counter provider, with this counter provider. This is how we are going to do that. Now how we will, how we will, let's create a, now let's go to the parent component and let's import, import um, now how we are going to, like, we have learned कि भाई now we have created a context and now we have provided or wrapped this context to a particular every like the component. Now how we are going to use this, use that state into the into our parent component or the child component or any component. We are going to use something you know known as the use context. Use context. This particular, this particular hook, what it will do, it will what it will do, it will select the state from the context, like the context, what, the context provider. Okay, so now we are just fetching that state from the, so what was the state, count, and in this import counter context and use context, and from here we are just provide this counter context. This is, this means is कि भैया we are getting this particular state from this create count context. So whatever the context we have created, we are just getting this state from the this particular context. Okay, as simple as that. Let's show this state counter, sorry, count. Okay, it is, okay. And now in the button, what I will do, I will create an increase, and let's go back to the, now we are coming zero. How it is coming zero? Tell me this. How it is coming zero here? भैया आपने तो यहाँ कोई शिफ्ट बनाई नहीं है पेरेंट कंपोनेंट में. हाउ इट इज कमिंग जीरो? व्हाई? बिकॉज वी आर फेचिंग इट फ्रॉम द काउंटर कॉन्टेक्स्ट और द कॉन्टेक्स्ट वी हैव क्रिएटेड. ठीक है भैया, दिस मीन्स कि भाई नाउ वी कैन डायरेक्टली fetch this count to any child component. Yes we can, yes we can, similarly we can do that, just like we have done this in this particular parent component. We can do similar things in the child component as well. Let's create a on increase function. So on click, and um, and what it will do, it will increase. So let me create a function here, it will increase that, increase function, increase. What we need to do is just set count, and the count plus one, count plus one. This is what we do, but we have not have the set count from here. Okay, we have not we have till now we have do not have the set count, so we will also use, we will also take that set count from the context also. Okay, now we have the set count also. Okay, so if I click on increase, you are seeing it is increasing, you are seeing it is increasing. Okay, let me just wrap this in the what the edge. Okay, now it is increasing. Okay, as simple as that. Let's perform the same functionality in the child component as well. Let's go to child component, and just use the same thing. So I will copy paste the same things and import this from the child. Okay, and here we also use to have the use context because this will and similar things in the parent. Okay, and now in the child we can just show that count. We can just show that count. So count, let's write here something h2, this is in child 1, this is in child 1. Okay, and why it is not showing till now on our screens? Because we have not imported this component in our parent. So like we have imported but we have not used this particular child component. Okay, now you will see a child 1. Let me write here 1. Okay, now you see 14 is there, 14 is there. Without using the props, what we are doing, we have now we can use this particular state anywhere, anywhere we wanted to use in any child component. Now if I increase this, what you are seeing, कि भैया मैं increase तो कर रहा हूँ parent component में, but the child component count is also increasing. Why? Because it is the global state that we have created and we are using that global state in the child one. Okay, in the child one, now it is increasing. The same thing we can do in the child 2 also. Same thing we can do then in the child 2 also. So just we have to use the same thing as well. Sorry, copy and take a child 2. Let's import a create context, sorry, use context, use context. Okay, so like we have to use this in the parent also, child 2. Okay, as simple as that. Now this particular state, now if I click on increase here, what you will see, in child 1 also it is increasing, in child 2 also increasing. Because why? Because global state. What I can do also कि भाई I can create a function here also, just like in the parent. What I can do is I can create a function in child 2 also, ठीक है, and set increase and ठीक है, as simple as that. Now this particular button is increase from child 2. ठीक है, now if I increase this from child 2, what you are saying, the one was in the parent was increasing, child 1 is also increasing, child 2 also increasing. Now if I increase this in parent, now you can see all the child are increasing. This is how we are solve the problem of prop drilling. Prop drilling means कि भाई now instead of sending props we can just use this particular technique. So भैया यार बस मतलब दो कंपोनेंट की हमने इतना बड़ा ड्रामा करा है, इतना सब कुछ लिखा है और फिर इतना सब कुछ करा है. That is why I'm telling you कि भैया this is not used for, like if you have two components, three components and you are passing that prop is fine, prop is absolutely fine. But this is used when you are creating an application that will consist of 10 children or 13 children, 14 children, like a, that can go in that number can go in hundreds or even like in thousands also. Okay, in thousands. So like Facebook or the uh, Meta has created React. So the React is being created by the Meta. Okay, Meta, Facebook. So they use React, like they use React only. So I have read somewhere कि भैया there are 30,000 components in the Facebook. 30,000 components. Just imagine, and not the whole Facebook. Only the ad stream of that. Only the ad stream. Like there is the ad particular team that created the particular Facebook UI for the ads to show all the ads. Okay, and they that was created in the 30,000 components. So now imagine that tree कि भाई वो कितना बड़ा ट्री होगा एंड कितना उसके अंदर चिल्ड्रन होंगे, एक के नीचे एक, एक के नीचे एक की, ठीक है। तो देयर दे आर रियली लाइक they are really using the props? No, they are using something known as the use context, or either they are using the libraries known as the redux, or the any library that there is to handle the state management. ठीक है, understood till now? You have to actually just keep this, you have to try this yourself also, to do all those things. ठीक है, you can just see the recording also again, but this is a very in simple manner you can solve that problem. Clear? And you can ask me any doubts if you have.
Where you have wrapped the parent मतलब काउंटर प्रोवाइडर को आपने रैप कराया अराउंड द पेरेंट कंपोनेंट।
हम्म।
सो मतलब हम सारा कोड पेरेंट कंपोनेंट में ही लिखेंगे, मतलब
नहीं,
जैसे अगर कोई भी प्रॉप अगर हमें
हाँ
भेजना
हाँ,
होगा
ओके ओके ओके,
तो
ठीक है।
इट मीन्स कि हम ऐप वाले में कुछ नहीं लिखेंगे, मतलब पेरेंट में लिखेंगे।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, देखो अभी I have created that application for the app now by using the parent, because just to show you कि how we can do that. ठीक है, this is how your actual application is. This is how your actual application. You have something known as the app.jsx. Then you have parent. We are calling the parent, and in that parent you have count. You have count. Sorry, children 1 and children 2. This is what it is. ठीक है, but we know कि भैया app is the top most component. Whatever application we are going to build, whether it is like whether it contains 1,000 component, lakhs component, the topmost component will be app.js, app.jsx. ठीक है, उसमें क्या हो गया, just wrap this app.jsx, wrap this app.jsx to the provider. ठीक है, नो डाउट। आई हैव जस्ट रैप दिस पेरेंट कि भाई बिकॉज I only wanted to access this in the parent app and in the children and children too. हाँ, this is the good question कि भैया अगर मैं चाहूँ, क्या हम app.jsx में can we access this state? No, we cannot. Why we cannot? Because we have not wrapped the app.jsx with the provider. We have only wrapped this part only. We have only wrapped this part only. So this is how we have created. Understood? App.jsx and the parent and child 1, child 2, and we have wrapped this part only. So now in the app.jsx we can't use, like it will ask me, bhai give me the state, but use context will say कि bhai you are not wrapped under me, so I can't uh, use the state. What you have to do, just what are the things you were doing to the parent, whatever the component you are providing, like the top component, just make it as app also. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you to remove this doubt. What I will do is that in the app.jsx, remove this counter provider from here. Okay, and now if I if I हाँ सॉरी, सो ऐप में ही तो है ना अभी, सॉरी, हाँ तो ऐप में ही तो है या ठीक है। तो मुझे लगा था कि शायद हाँ वो ठीक है, ठीक है। हाँ, तो अभी आप ये कह रहे हो कि हाँ ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है, मुझे आपका क्वेश्चन समझ में आ गया। अभी आप ये कह रहे हो ना कि हम अगर हम ऐप में यूज करें तो वी कैन नॉट यूज द ऐप, ठीक है। तो वी हैव द प्रॉब्लम हियर। सो वी हैव द टॉप मोस्ट कंपोनेंट दैट इज नोन एज द मेन डॉट जेएसएक्स, दैट इज नोन एज द मेन डॉट जेएसएक्स, ठीक है। दैट इज नोन एज द main dot jsx. So it is how it is something like कि like the same concept. I just got confused with yeah, I just got confused. So like this is the main.jsx, okay, and this is your app.jsx, and inside that you have parent, and inside that you have child 1 and child 2. This is your actual tree. But see, we generally don't include the main.jsx in the like tree, because main.jsx is responsible to render things, is responsible to create your tree and the render things. So whatever the things have, like what are the components we have below this, it will render this on the UI, ठीक है. But now that's a very good question कि भैया आपने रैप से इतने पार्ट क्यों करा है, but what if uh, we want to use that state in the app.jsx. So by as simple as that, just provide this context to the main.jsx that has the app.jsx. let's see that let's see that कि how we can do that. So in the app.jsx, what you have to do is just remove this and import this, and in the main.jsx import this, ठीक है. And now counter provider and just wrap this app inside this, ठीक है. Your problem will be solved now. Your problem will be solved now. Increase. It is increasing, right? Now if we increase from a child 2 also increasing, ठीक है. Have I solved the problem? अब कोई डाउट हो तो पूछ लो. समझ आ गया ना, मतलब जो भी थिंग आपको प्रोवाइड करवानी है, जस्ट रैप दैट कंपोनेंट. जस्ट थिंक कि यार मेरा मेरा मोस्ट टॉप कंपोनेंट क्या है, एंड जस्ट रैप दैट कंपोनेंट, ठीक है. बस वैसे हो जाएगा. जनरली ऐप डॉट जी एस एक्स में generally app.jsx में we always write our UI in the app.jsx. So here we will provide so many components like my GitHub. मतलब मैं थोड़ा सा समझा देता हूँ, because now you have like understood most of the React. So I have like built this application with the help of the React only, ठीक है. This is the particular code of that particular website where you see all the recordings, ठीक है. This is the whole code. So in the client we have the front end part, and in the server we have the back end part. Go to the client. It is being created with the it is the React plus Suite application, ठीक है, same as we have created. Go into the SRC. I have created the context here, ठीक है, but I have not used the context, ठीक है. Now see, uh, are you seeing sign up is my in one, is one component, sign up is like sign in is one component. I have so many components right now in this app.jsx, okay. And now I am just using that particular component in my app only. So now see, I have used the user provider here, okay. I have used the user provider here, which means कि भाई I am wrapping all those components. I am wrapping all those components, whatever the component I have, with this user provider, which now basically means कि भैया whether I want to have the user in the update week, so I can get the user in the update week. Whether I want to have the user in the profile, I can get that particular user with the profile, ठीक है. In the context I have created the same thing. User context.jsx. What I have done here, I have similar thing I have done here. I have just created a state with the set user, and I am just updating the state, and now I am just providing this to all children, ठीक है. This is what I have done, ठीक है. This is what I have told you, like told you all the things, ठीक है. Use context and the use provider. Understood? So I have seen you the real application, like real world application also. So this is how we are actually going to do that. Okay. So this is the use context API. Take a Redux we will do later, but we have 59 also. So like 5 minutes were wasted because of the function thing. So custom hook is very good topic. Should we do that? Should we do that? ठीक है, like I will make you understand it within 5 to 10 minutes, because after this, like we are going to complete a React from the front end, complete this React. What are the custom hooks? Custom hooks react in the function that allow you to extract or the reuse the object in your components. Just in simple things कि भाई something we have the use state, ठीक है. Use state also, which is by default hook from the React also. In the same way we can create a custom hooks. How we can create that? Like these are not the custom hooks. These are just a simple functions that can be created by us. We can call them as the hooks, and then we can use them wherever we want. So this is the simple application that shows you. कि भाई, let me show you also. It's a very small concept. ठीक है, just a very concept for the interviews. Okay, they will ask you what is the custom hook. See, remember that कि भाई मैं दिखाता हूँ. Remember that in the see remember that remember this thing that we use that we did in the in the last lectures कि भाई we are doing that. यहाँ पे भी करा होगा. ग्लोबल स्टेट में नहीं था, माया में था ना शायद. एस आर सी गेटिंग यूजर्स. ठीक है. This is what we did. This is what we did. Like the whole function we created. Whole function we created. ठीक है. And we did all those things कि भाई we were fetching the data from these users. And ठीक है. And then we were setting the data, like we were setting this data to the set users. And now and then there we were there and then there we were using this data. ठीक है. There we were using there we were showing this data. ठीक है. So how we can do that is कि भाई to make this code more cleaner, what we can do that we can create a new file. ठीक है. with the with the file name like use fetch use like use fetch user, anything you can want, and we can just paste this same function into that particular file, and we can return from there. कि भाई whatever the data we were getting, just like a simple function, just like a simple function that we used to return. ठीक है. But this is a simple function and we are returning the data. So there also we can just create a file with the use, just name the file with the use. ठीक है. So that it can, like a React will understand कि भाई this is a custom hook that you are creating, and there just paste this function and just return the rest dot data from here. And now in your main application, what you can do is you can just import that particular hook, custom hook that you have created, and you can just use this data. So by doing this, what we are doing is we are just making our code cleaner. First thing, why? Because we don't have to write all those things now here. What we can do is is just imagine this for now कि भाई we are getting something from, we are getting the data from something hook use fetch user. This is the hook that we created in a different file. This is the custom hook. ठीक है. And we are getting the data, and then we are just showing the data to the UI. Now it has first resolved the, like it has first, like what it did it just like the number of lines decreased. Okay. So like this, what it just decreases the number of lines. Okay, as simple as that. The one more thing it has done is now we can use that same function, in any component we want. If I imagine if we have to use this, we have to fetch users in any other component. I have one component profile also where I was fetching my component, and I have one component where I can update my profile also. So in that update my profile also, till now I have shown, like I have all my profile details coming कि भाई this is your current profile detail and you can update this. So I am I am getting that particular data. I need that particular data into two things, in the profile section also, or in the update data also. So why I will let this function again and again in both these component. What I will do is I will, whatever the custom hook I have created, I will just import that custom hook. I will just create the I will just get the data, and I will just, whatever the hook custom hook name I have given that, I will just I will just I will just I will just use the data from that hook, as simple as that. This is known as the custom hook, and that is why we need the custom hooks to make our things smaller and faster. कि भाई we can just use them again and again. ठीक है. So this is the same concept. Custom hooks in the React are the functions that allow you to extract and reuse the logic in your components. Okay, as simple as that. They start with the use, just like React's inbuilt hooks, and can use other hooks inside them. Okay? Custom hooks can help you avoid code duplication and keep your components clean and simple. This is the simple main motivation of using the custom hooks. As you can see in this particular example, this is the file we have created with the use fetch.jsx. ठीक है. Or JSX, you can write anything. ठीक है. So this is the file we have created. What we are doing here is that we are fetching our data. We are fetching our data from this particular URL. So you can just imagine here any URL, and we have used the fetch here. Okay, I have just copied this code from the internet only. So they were using the fetch. So we all know कि भाई we have studied both the things, Axios also and the fetch also. Okay, so they were fetching the result, and then they were converting the result in the object, and then they were setting that result into the particular state we have created in our particular custom hook only. And now in the end, what you are seeing here is that they are returning the data. They are returning the data, whatever the data they have set it here. Here the result I am getting, and now uh, I'm just sending this particular state. I'm just returning this particular state. ठीक है here, ठीक है here. Now in my main component, this is my main component. What I am doing is I am just using this use fetch custom hook that I have created. Okay, and here I was just directly accessing the data that it was returning it. It was returning me, and now I am just directly using this data to our UI, to our UI. Okay, this is the very simple concept of the custom hooks. Okay, so like I was about to show you, but like time is, I think the time is up now. So we can, this was the last thing, but the main thing we understood today is the custom hooks. They will not you will not going to actually use that a lot. Okay, believe me. Okay, you are not going to actually use a lot until you will go to a company, or they like their all these things matter, like your clean code and code duplication should not be there. There all those things really matter a lot. Okay, I am seeing this right now. Okay, so this is where we need the custom hooks. Okay, but while building your building your personal projects, you don't need this as much. Okay, okay, so this is the thing. But the main important part was the context API that is used to manage our global state. That is used to manage our global state. So we can do the redux in the last week when we will complete this course. Okay, because this is some advanced concept. This is something like the same. See, the similar, the similar functionality as the use context consists in the redux also. Okay, as you can see, it has something as the known as the store. There we have something known as the context, so it will hold the state. There also we have something known as the context that will hold the global state. Okay, and we were there is having a reducer, a function that manipulates the state. So there also, so like in this redux library, it provides us different functions by default that will help to manipulate the store. So till now what we were doing is, in the global state, what we were doing is that कि भाई how we are manipulating this state, how we are manipulating this state, we are actually manipulating this state with the help of the user state only, with the help of the state only. But redux provides us some known as the reducers function that will also help us to provide the, that will also help us to manipulate the state that is being stored, that is being stored in the store particular this particular thing that is in the redux. Okay, so like if you are interested, you can just go to the YouTube and you can check videos on the YouTube. There are like a lot of YouTube's videos on the YouTube, but I will teach you in the last lecture of the thing, because this was like this will take around 1 hour to complete all those things. Okay, last topic was the to deploy our React application or Vercel on Netlify. So whatever the application you have created or whatever the application you have you will create, now you have to see. Right now we are working on the local host. So right now we are working on the local host. Okay, this is now what we are working on the local host. So right now this is not visible to anyone on the internet. So how we can deploy that? We can deploy that with the help of the Vercel, with the help of the Vercel. Vercel or the Netlify. These two platforms are the very famous platforms to deploy your React apps. To deploy your React apps. Let me take you my Vercel. Vercel. Okay. This is how you will open the Vercel. And okay. So I'm showing you. I'm showing you. Actually, I have to first. I have to first. I have to first actually. Uh, we can do one thing. What we can do is see. This is a good concept to know. Let me just give me 5 minutes more so I can just teach you this concept also. कि भाई अरे हो जा। ठीक है, सो ठीक है, सो मतलब मैं बता रहा था कि वर्सल पे हम कर सकते हैं, वर्सल या फिर नेटलीफाई पे। सो either what we can do is, it gives us a it gives us option कि भाई you can either deploy this project from the GitHub। GitHub मतलब कि जो आपकी GitHub पे repos पड़ी है, कि भाई I will take your code from the GitHub repo and I will just deploy that particular code। or it gives us the feature कि भाई you build your application in your terminal, like in your laptops only, and whatever the after building your application, whatever the build folder you will get, after building those application, whatever the build folder you will get, just give me that folder in the just give me that folder, and I will deploy your application, deploy your application. So right now I have not like actually deployed this code on the GitHub, but this is we should always do. We should always first push our code to GitHub, and then we should always deploy this particular to the version. Okay, but this is also we can do is that what we can do is go into the packet.json, and I have something known as the build script. So it will build me a let me let me build this. Okay, so how we can build this? npm, let me go into my global, sorry, cd, oh sorry, cd week 7, and then cd global state. Okay, and now I have to build. So how will I do that? npm run build. Okay, this will run this particular script, and now it will build it will create a build folder for all those things. So like if you can see, it created me a disk folder here, disk folder here. Okay, this is the same disk folder कि भाई I have told you कि भाई at the end we are going to get the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript files. At the end, we are going to get the CSS, HTML, JavaScript files. Why? Because browser only understand this. So after building my application, you get this particular index.html, and in the assets you got a index.js. Okay, you got a index.js. So you won't be able to understand this index.js. Why? Because like it is being created by the transpiler. We all like we have understood all these concepts. कि bundler क्या होता है? So this is one bundler that it created. Now uh, we have to just what we have to do, we have to just copy this bundler and paste this bundler on the Netlify website or on the Vercel website. So I will just close this, and what I will do is that I think we can't do this in the. Can we add project domain project? Okay, so like you go to your particular website. This is like how many projects I have like deployed this from the Vercel only. So your project will be empty. You can add this from your particular project. So click on add new and click on go project. So it will ask you by whether you have the repo or not. So I think browse. I think it don't allow us to put the it don't allow us to use the folder structure like the given that we can directly change the like we can directly deploy the folder. Let me see this is the one website. I'm just telling you how you can do that with the GitHub. So this is one like these are all the my GitHub repos. Okay, so you can just use any of the GitHub repos. Click on the import. Click on the import. It will import that GitHub repo, and now it will ask you all these features. So you have to just click on the deploy here, and it will deploy your whole application, and it will deploy your whole application, and it will give you a URL. It will give you a it is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. You don't have to do anything. You just import it from GitHub, and you have to click on just deploy here. Okay, just name your application, whatever application you want to name. Click on deploy here, and it will give you a URL, and that URL you can just uh, now like it is access, like it can be visible to the everyone on the internet. Okay, so how can I show you one website? Go to the website. Let's see. ठीक है. This is the same website like I was like uh, when I was initially building it. So I was initially building it from the Vercel only. So like it gave me this particular URL after deploying it, and now you can give this particular URL to any of your friend. Okay, so we can change this particular URL. You're going to We are going to do all those, like you're going to learn this when you will start building applications, when you will start looking all those solutions. Okay, this is the one solution we can do, and the next solution we can do is in Netlify, netlify.com. This is the same thing. It will host your React apps. So click on the deploy Netlify. It will ask you first to sign in. I think deploy Netlify, hide. It is taking too much. I think the net is taking a lot of time because I've connected to my mobile net, so it will take time. But what I'm trying to, it is also will tell you by sign in from GitHub, so you have to sign in from GitHub only. Netlify app. The CodeRail website that you see, it is being deployed on the Netlify only. So like the CodeRail you see, this particular website, it is deployed on the Netlify only. That is why you are getting the .netlify.app. Okay, so you can use the custom. You can use the own domain name. कि भाई you can buy your own domain name and you can map that domain name to this particular website only. Okay, so what I should do is that we go back and add a new site. Start deploy manually. Click on deploy manually, and it will tell you by drag and drop your site output folder here. So whatever the folder we have created, let's see. This is the particular folder we have created. Let me close this. Okay, and let me take the assignment week 7 global state, and this is the folder. This folder we have, right? So what I will do is I will just paste this, copy this folder, take and drop it. Okay, so it will upload this. It will take some time. Okay, drag and drop your site folder, and you will have your site in your cloud in a temporary URL. Like it will give you a URL. Okay, as simple as that. So I think it is deployed or not. Open production deploy. So currently it is deploying. Yeah, it is deployed. Okay, this is the URL you get. Sorry, I actually have closed the Netlify. So this is the link you got. Link you got. This is a very stupid link. Let's try to change this. Login with GitHub, and right now we have this is your this is now it is on the internet. You can also use that. So let me change. Let me copy this. Let me give you this to you also. So you can use this particular link also. Okay, and let me check this whether it is working or not. So increase. It is increasing. Increase from the child. So it is increasing. Okay, and so is that. But like the site configuration, go to the site configuration and change the site name, and now you can change the site name. So my first, or you can use the understand counter counter context. Okay, just click on save. Now your application name is the counter context. Okay, now you can use this particular link. Okay, now use this particular link. Now we have changed the name also. So you can now use this link also. Now it is deployed on the internet. You can use this anytime you want. Okay, this is as simple as it. But bhaiya, what if we want to change something in this application? What if we want to change something in this application? अभी तो मेरे को भी एक और child बनाना है, child 3, and I want to add this. So now you can't do that. You can't do that because you have created this folder. Now what you have to do is you have to go back to your application. You have to go back your application, and then you have to write code, and you have to npm run build, and then you have to paste that folder again. This is why we always say कि भैया, always push your code to GitHub. Always push your code to GitHub, and Vercel or Netlify, they will they will like they will take the code from the GitHub only. Now whatever the changes you will made in your GitHub, they will run, they will deploy them again. Okay, they will now deploy them again. So you don't have to do all those things. कि भाई First you will create a folder like this folder, and then you will upload that. You don't have to do that with the help of the GitHub. Why? Because you can push that code to GitHub, and that's like you will be. This is how you can create applications, deploy applications with the help of the Vercel and the Netlify. So I've shown you with the Netlify, okay? And now there will be a project coming, which will consist all the React topics. So we will be creating a. I will see what thing we can create that will that will being created with all the concepts we have learned till now, whether it is the state management or all those things. Okay, so I will see what I can create, and that will consist of all the UI, HTML, like all the UI, okay, in React only, and yeah, okay, and we are going to deploy that. Like we will first push that to the GitHub, and then we are going to deploy that with the on the Vercel with the help of the GitHub only. Okay, so with this we have actually end our project. Sorry, we have actually end our React. We have done all the concepts till now. Today's lecture was a little bit long because I have to complete this particular lecture. Okay, so I think we are done. This is the whole PPT you can get, and whenever you want to revise the React, you just go to this PPT and can revise React before your interviews. Like the whole React you can revise just before the interviews. Okay, this is as simple as that. It consists the code as well. Every topic consists the code as well, so you can just say कि भाई you can just copy this and run this in your particular laptops also. Okay, so I think we are done with the front end part. We have completed the front end and then the React, and now what you can do is you can just go to this particular website, learning management system. Okay, and what you can do is you can now go to the client side, and the client contains all the front end, and it is being created in the React, whole React. Okay, try to understand this, and then I will tell you what you can do in this, what things you can improve in this particular website. Okay, so I will teach you all that. Okay, so I think we should go now. We have completed our React. From the next week we are going to start the backend, and like backend will be a very interesting topic. Okay, so any doubts you can ask me. Any doubts you can ask me. ठीक है. What about you, Divyanshi? Kamil, you can go. How will fetch images like there in any syntax means? I didn't get your question.
Like if we want to fetch images from the backend, so how we do that
हाँ, so
using fetch?
see, ठीक है, अभी तो you have 5 minutes ना, तो I will tell you, but this is a like we are going to learn in the backend only. ठीक है, but let me tell you. ठीक है, this is the concept. See, in front end we know कि भैया whatever the things we are going to fetch, we are going to fetch that from API. ठीक है, we know that. This means कि भाई we can't see. अरे यार fuck.
You are not audible.
हाँ, sorry, actually my internet is going again and again. So I'm trying to say is that कि भाई we are going to store that images into a backend. ठीक है, just say me a yes. So I'm trying to say you.
Yes.
ठीक है, yes. Okay, now whatever the things we are going to show in the backend, it will give me a it will give me we can use the name of that particular image. ठीक है, as a string. ठीक है, as a string, and where it is stored in a path with the path name and the image name. ठीक है, and we can create a API that fetches all those things. ठीक है, so what we are doing actually is कि भैया we have stored all those images in a backend, and now we are converting them into the strings, so that in the front end part we can call the API, any image API that we are going to create in the backend. We can call the that API, and we can fetch that images and show to our UI. the phenomena will be same. You are going to use axios only. ठीक है, you are going to fetch and axios are similar. It's just कि भैया in fetch we have to convert that first. We have to first convert that into an object. Then we are going to use that. Axios do that automatically.
ओके ओके,
This is your doubt ना?
अंडरस्टूड।
This was
हाँ
a doubt
यस,
कि और doubt था?
नहीं नहीं यही था मेरा।
और कोई क्वेश्चन?
नहीं बस।
ठीक है, तो अभी शायद तुम्हारे शायद कॉलेज स्टार्ट होने वाले हैं, कब से है कॉलेज स्टार्ट?
हाँ, 8